take out political opponents. All you need is a drug war. Drugs used to be legal. Heroin, cocaine, everything. Until about 100 years ago, when America appointed its first drug czar, a man named Harry Anslinger. In his report to the U.S. Senate, Anslinger detailed the reasons drugs must be outlawed. This is what he said. There are 100,000 marijuana smokers in the U.S., and most are Negroes, Hispanics, Filipinos, and entertainers. Their satanic music, jazz, and swing result from marijuana use. It causes white women to seek sexual relations with Negroes, entertainers, and others. Anslinger's popularity soared with voters, and lawmakers began outlawing drugs. Then the evangelical movement inspired Congress to ban alcohol as well.
Gangsterism was a natural sequel, and battles for exclusive territories erupted with a violence unparalleled in the history of law enforcement.
Guys like Al Capone were suddenly making big bucks. The black market exploded with such violence that public opinion turned, and Roosevelt ended alcohol prohibition, crushing the burgeoning industry. But Harry Anslinger didn't stop pushing drug prohibition. In the 1960s, he took his case all the way to the United Nations and lobbied the whole world to adopt the U.S. policy of outlawing drugs. Richard Nixon would pick up where Harry Anslinger left off.
America's public enemy number one in the United States is drug abuse.
While publicly claiming to address addiction and violence, Nixon used drug policy as a weapon to move against those he thought of as his political enemies.
Homosexuality, though immorality in general, these are the enemies of strong societies. That's why the communists and the left-wingers are pushing each other. They're trying to destroy us. The bastards that are out for legalizing marijuana is Jewish. The crisis is the matter with the Jews, Bob. What is the matter with them?
To fight and defeat this enemy, it is necessary to wage a new all-out offensive.
President Nixon created the Drug Enforcement Administration with an annual budget of $65 million and started the war on drugs. If you were a governor, mayor, police chief, or any public official, an enormous amount of money was suddenly available from the federal government. All you had to do was enlist in the drug war.
All of us in law enforcement, we're soldiers. We developed the cases, we got the informants, we did the search warrants, we did the wiretaps, but we didn't take the money out of it. So what happened? All the wonderful little entrepreneurs said, now it's my time.
12 years later, the federal drug war budget had grown to over $1.5 billion a year. And the Reagan administration stepped up the rhetoric.
For the sake of our children, I implore each of you to be unyielding and inflexible in your opposition to drugs. Say yes to your life, and when it comes to drugs, just say no.
Just say no is sort of a fraud. It's one America talking to the other, not even knowing how the other half has to live.
David Simon is the creator of the critically acclaimed series The Wire.
When you're at war, you need a fucking enemy. And pretty soon, damn near everybody on every corner is your fucking enemy.
David based the characters in his show on the real-world events he observed during his many years as a Baltimore police reporter.
Yeah, we were saying just say no to involving yourself in the drug trade. It was like telling people in a factory town, don't go to work for Steel, or telling people in Detroit, don't go to work for GM. Just say no in West Baltimore is telling somebody, don't go to work for the only factory that is hiring in your neighborhood. And the country is telling you implicitly, we don't need you. You're a human being without purpose. And that's 10 to 15 to 20% of our population at this point.
You gotta realize we ain't got no jobs around here or nothing, you know? So every time we try to make a little something to get on our feet, to try to help feed our family, they come kicking the doors in, knocking us back down again.
Even as you fall into the corner culture and ruin your life, you're granted meaning. You're granted a purpose. You're going to go out and you're going to sell this G-Pack today and you're going to make money and you're going to bring that money home to your people. So just say no was a problem in that we had not given the slightest bit of thought as to what people in these worlds were supposed to say yes to, and we still haven't.
By 1986, the U.S. was allocating $2.9 billion a year for narcotics enforcement. That's when the Democrats seized an incredible opportunity over the media frenzy surrounding Len Bias.
Len Bias with 29. Oh my!
Len Bias was a college star athlete.
He was signed to go to the Boston Celtics.
There are 20 TV cameras. He signs like a contract with Adidas for millions of dollars. He's got it made. He flew back that night from the signing. He's celebrating in his dorm room at the University of Maryland. He's snorting cocaine.
And his heart failed, and they said it was because of heavy cocaine use.
And he has a seizure and he dies.
Eric Sterling was working as a lawyer at the House of Representatives at the time.
The story is a horror of how Congress operates. The Democratic leadership figured if they put together an anti-drug bill and they play it right, they can win big in the November election. Responding appropriately to the public's alarm about drugs, which is an alarm they helped create.
We are dealing with nothing less than chemical warfare against the youth of this nation.
Press conferences, speeches, the plague. Should we put in the death penalty? Yeah, let's have the death penalty. Now it's the Republicans.
People who push drugs must be put in jail for a minimum of 50 years.
I had this quality of like Sotheby's auction, I'll see, I'll raise you, I'm tougher, I'm meaner. In my 9 years working for the Congress, this is the only time we wrote legislation in such haste and without careful consideration.
Actress